de los Muertos. Reverend Pat.
What an elbow.
Here we go.
Thank you, I did that.
We know you did
That's
that.
such a clown. Oh, goodness. I keep telling her, this is a church, you're supposed to be like, you know, behave. But it's all very good. Well, when Reverend Tanya asked me to talk about the metaphysics of Dia de los Muertos, I gulped and said, yeah, okay. I was thinking, what a concept. The metaphysical interpretation of the Day of the Dead. Give me a break. Even though I've lived here all my life along the border, I realized I didn't really know much about it. You know, why, I kind of got a sense of why it is celebrated, but when it started and what the deal is, you know. So I turned to our beloved Wikipedia to get some information. And so the Day of the Dead, in Spanish it's the Dia de los Muertos, is celebrated from October 21st through November 2nd, okay? And it's a Mexican holiday celebrated throughout Mexico, especially, well, really throughout Mexico, and people of Mexican heritage are everywhere celebrating. So, and if you're living here on the border, we get to see right directly what it's like and how it's celebrated. If you've never been to the Mesilla Plaza at this time, you know, you should go. It's beautiful and it's amazing. So be sure you go. Okay, so I found out the Day of the Dead celebrations in Mexico developed from ancient traditions from the pre-Columbian cultures. Rituals celebrating the deaths of ancestors had been observed by these civilizations for as long as 2,500 or 3,000 years. I mean, it goes way back. The festivities were a day dedicated to a goddess with the almost unpronounceable name Mictecahuatl. Mictecahuatl. She's known as the Lady of the Dead, and we know her more now as La Calavera, La Catrina, you know. Anyway, what I also found interesting was that in 2008, the Dia de los Muertos tradition was inscribed in the representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity by UNESCO. That's kind of cool, yeah. Now, what's interesting is in the Mexican culture, death is viewed as a natural part of the human cycle. Mexicans view the Dia de los Muertos not as a day of sadness and sorrow, but as a day of celebration, because their loved ones awake and celebrate with them. And if you've never seen the movie Coco, you should find some way to get it, because it presents the real heart of Dia de los Muertos, Coco. It won the Oscar for the best animated film. It's just delightful. Anyway, the holiday involves family and friends gathering to pray for and remember friends and family members that have died and help support their spiritual journey. So that's part of the deal. Traditions connected with the holiday include building private altars dedicated to the different relatives and friends that have passed on. They have calaveras, and that's one of the most prominent symbols, and it's the skull. You know? And marigolds, favorite flower, you know, and foods and beverages of the departed. So, I mean, it's amazing to see the stuff that they bring. Real food, real beverages, you know. Even I saw one with Dos Equis beer can there, you know, so all that kind of stuff. Okay, so where do metaphysics come in? According to Charles Fillmore, okay, now this is really interesting, and it really illustrates Charles Fillmore's dedication to really understanding life and death and spirit and everything, okay? These are his words. As commonly interpreted, death is the absence of life in the body. And here's where it just blew me away when I read it. Death is caused by man's failure to comply fully with God's law. It is the result of sin and has no uplifting power. A falling short of the law of life is sin. Well, now when I read that, I thought, dang, man, that sounds pretty fundamental religion stuff. But he goes on to kind of explain. Sin is caused by discord in the mind, which produces a separation between spirit and body. Okay. Through believing in error and dissipating the life substance, the mind loses hold of its consciousness of life and enters into negation, and dissolution takes place. The result is death of the body temple. Okay. And then he quotes Romans, the wages of sin is death, but the true gift of God is eternal life. Oh man, I'm thinking, golly, it's pretty severe, you know. He went on to say, if through the power of thought and word we affirm the opposite of life and talk about the absence of life, we rob the body cells of their natural element. This treatment will eventually bring death to the organism. He also said, death is not a friend but an enemy and must be overcome. Now this was new. I mean, I studied Fillmore and everything, but golly, I didn't know he was this fundamental, you know. Death does not change man and bring him into the resurrection and eternal life. Death has no place in the absolute. In the world today, there is an active effort to exalt death and to delude men into believing that death is the way to eternal life in heaven. Okay, so we get a little bit of that. We go, yeah, there's a promise of heaven and everything. Such a thought is opposed to the teachings of Jesus, Fillmore said, because Jesus came to deliver the human race from death and to fulfill in man God's perfect will. Now that is pure Fillmore interpretation, isn't it? Jesus came to deliver the human race from death. Well, I can see where he came to that with the story of Christ resurrecting and so forth. You know. So let me see here. Fillmore says, this new birth is a change that comes here and now, according to Jesus. It has to do with the present man, that he may become conscious of Christ within himself. I'm going, okay, yeah, I like that, you know. Those that are guided by the Spirit of truth understand the life teaching and are not led astray by any philosophy that makes death and the grave necessary factors to spiritual growth. Okay. Here's where Fillmore really moved into this new way of thinking. He says, how to overcome death. The Christ man goes through the various centers of the body and rebuilds them with his word. The abiding consciousness of life fills every cell of the body with its quickening energy, and the body becomes immortal. Wow. So, I looked up other definition or discussion on death, and I came across this scientific kind of study called thanatology. Thanatology. It's the study of death and the psychological and social aspects relating to death. It's kind of interesting, you know. I mean, can't understand why somebody would go into that field. But anyway, according to thanatologists, and here's where I really think this is interesting and I really agree. Religious doctrines and materialistic-oriented educational systems have inadvertently encouraged man's negative attitude towards death. They paint horrible conditions of the after-death state, ranging from eternal punishment and torture in fashions exceeding the cruelties and atrocities of the Inquisition, to the materialistic view of nihilism and annihilation. Religion and the academic institutions offer no real comfort or solace to those whose loved ones have faced the great change. Okay, and you know, I think he's right. The fundamental institutions have kind of built a whole philosophy, theology on, if you do the bad thing here, you're going to suffer eternally. And they got pictures of hell, and you know. But here's the neat part. In ancient cultures, the existence of the afterlife was taken for granted. In former eras, there have been concepts or beliefs in the afterlife, such as the happy hunting grounds, Olympus in the Elysian fields. According to these ancient cultures, death should not be looked upon as an ultimate chapter or conclusion of one's life. For death is simply a change, a passing, a transition to a different plane of consciousness, a different dimensional activity. And we're going, okay, you know, that sounds, I like the concepts there. And then I realized Einstein's equation E = mc squared tells us that nothing in the universe can be destroyed, that there can only be a transformation, a change or conversion of the patterns of energy fields. Isn't that neat? Energy can't be destroyed. So, okay, so how do we bring it all down to the idea of celebrating our ancestors? That was the assignment I was given. Some of these experiences are, let me look here. I lost my notes, my place in my notes. Some of these experiences that, a metaphysical way to look at the idea of honoring the dead is to think of the experiences we have had with those who have passed on. They can be experiences we've laid to rest yet honor because of the lessons we learned from them. Some of those experiences were horrible and heartbreaking. Some of them were inflicted upon us. And some of them were brought about because of our own ignorance. And the energies of those experiences are still with us, even if the people are not. So how do we transform the energies of the past? To me, the Day of the Dead is an opportunity to free ourselves, to cast off the chains that may still bind us. The idea of energies continuing to exist can be seen as something that can be transformed. So if energy can't be destroyed, it can only be transformed, our thoughts are the transformative power tools. Our lack of forgiveness maintains the energy in its original form. Our lack of forgiveness maintains the energy in its original form. So what does this mean for us as spiritual seekers? We're all faced with a series of great opportunities, brilliantly disguised as impossible situations. The question that is appropriate to ask is, what did I learn from that experience? Now, forgiveness is different from condoning or excusing or forgetting or pardoning. You know, that's not forgiveness. Forgiveness is the intentional and a voluntary process by which a victim undergoes a change in feelings and attitude regarding an offense. Lets go of emotions like vengeance or, punishment, even though it might be legally or morally justified. I mean, some of the things that people do to each other, you can't say it's okay. But in the Bible, sin is likened to debt, and forgiveness is compared to the cancellation of a debt. I like that idea. One reference work says that in the scriptures, the Greek word translated forgive means to let go of a debt. So when we choose to forgive someone who has wronged us, we let go of any need for reparations, any need for them to make it right somehow. Our willingness to forgive doesn't mean that we improve the wrong behavior or maximize the hurt that it's caused us. We don't have to say, oh, well, that was okay. It didn't really hurt. Rather, we simply decide to let go of their resentment or anger or fear. Nothing compares to the freedom we feel when we learn to forgive others. When we choose not to forgive, we become slaves to bitterness. We are the ones most hurt by holding on to unforgiveness. In his book, Forgive and Forget, Lewis Smedes wrote these profound words about forgiveness. And I really like this. When you release the wrongdoer and the wrong, you cut a malignant tumor out of your inner life. You set a prisoner free, but you discover that the real prisoner was yourself. We give a gift to ourselves when we forgive. Is there any evil action that is beyond forgiveness? What about the Inquisition? The Holocaust? No matter how serious the action that harmed us, working towards the goal of forgiveness will heal our hearts and souls in a way that no person or event can ever take from us. As we think about the metaphysics of Dia de los Cruces, we can look at the other side of this, which is gratitude. The spiritual law of gratitude encourages us to realize that we are sent challenges to overcome and learn from them so that we're able to grow. Yeah, okay. This alters our attitudes toward them. Every challenging situation is the gift of a lesson. Every challenging situation is the gift of a lesson. As human beings, our task is to learn the lesson of the challenge and appreciate what it has taught us. It's not always easy, as I'm sure you know. But what's the point of taking the class if you're not going to get anything out of it? And there's another aspect of Day of the Dead, remembering and thanking those who loved us and took care of us and tried to guide us. Another side of gratitude is remembering those that have passed on, who are our mentors, our teachers, our parents who loved us, and anyone who dearly loved us, or people that we loved. Those loved persons held up a mirror to help us see what we were doing and who we are, and to show us a loving, compassionate way of interacting with the world. They loved us no matter what. And if we're fortunate to have at least one such person in our life, we can survive and triumph. And so I invite you for just a moment to go inward and silently thank those people in your life who loved you and guided you and helped you believe life is worth living. And as we gather to a close, those who have died have experienced a change of worlds. And as we remember them and honor them, we can experience a change of worlds too. By forgiveness and gratitude, we can have a rebirth. We can write a new story of our lives. We can realize that we were not victims, but simply students in this amazing, mysterious, baffling, and magnificent school called life.
And now if you'd like to settle in for a brief meditation, get comfortable. We're going to take Reverend Pat's theme a little along with us in the meditation. So as you relax, breathe in the beautiful light of love, divine light. Allow it to wash over you. Allow it to heal you. Feel this beautiful energy swirling around from your feet, up your legs, your torso, up your shoulders, down your arms, into your heart, and up through your throat and your head, through the crown, so that from the tips of your toes to the top of your head, you're feeling this beautiful, divine light and love. Feel the stream of energy now. You're surrounded by this loving, flowing energy. And as you're standing in this stream, let go of those things that do not belong to you. Release and let go of all those things that do not belong to you. Relax, release, and let go. And forgive. We honor those loved ones and ancestors who have gone before us. And still, we let go and forgive. We let go of any residual angers, guilts, remorse. And as we let go and forgive, we make room in our hearts. We make room in our hearts for the love and the joy and the times we shared, the wisdom they shared with us, the fun, all these things. That energy stays, and we let go. We let go. And as we let go, we are lighter. We feel the light infusing each and every cell within our being, healing us, bringing joy within us. We are literally lighter as we let go and fill ourselves with this light. Allow yourself the moment now to let go of all those things that no longer matter, and enable yourself to fill and feel the joy and light within. Let go. Let go. Let go. Let go. And feel inside how you let go of all those things that you now still hold against yourself. Forgive yourself. And allow the joy and love and light to take its place. Release yourself and let go. Feel yourself standing in this stream of flowing love from God and the universe, going right through you and taking it away and letting it go, and filling yourself, every part of your capital S sacred self, with light and love and energy. And within that light and love and energy, recognize that gratitude, that thankfulness for the blessings that knowing and being related to and having mentorship from and having joy and good times with, for all the gratitude of all these things, and the gratefulness of being free within, the gratefulness of being free within and allowing the stream of consciousness, the stream of love to flow through us, bringing love and joy and gratitude. To let go of all that which does not belong to us, and allow the beauty, the love and the light, the energy and healing to take its place. And we feel this growing within us. Feel it growing. It's growing and growing beyond our bodies, filling this room, touching each and every one of us within this room, and expanding out into the city, into the state, into the country and continent, and around the world, so that every need, every hurt is touched with this love and light and healing energy. We can see this glowing matrix surrounding the world, pulsing light, healing and freeing. Feel yourself now as part of this matrix of light, healing and pulsing and filling with love. As you come back now, feel the tingling in your hands and become aware of your feet and where you sit now in your chair, filled with light and love and gratitude. And so it is.